Hello and welcome to Gameday U, Oklahoma's only weekly football pregame show on TV. I'm your host Cam Williams and I'm joined alongside analysts Hallie McPherson and Chris Holman. Plus Gameday U reporters Michael Thompson and Landon Thomas will be live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama previewing this afternoon's big matchup versus the Tide. But let's take it back to 2 weeks ago when the Sooners aimed to climb Rocky Top in a nighttime showdown. Mid-first quarter, Owen Heineke is going to force a strip sack on Joey Aguilar and return 71 yards by R. Mason Thomas for the touchdown. He pulled his hamstring on the play, and he would be out for the remainder of the game. Late third quarter now, and Xavier Robinson is going to plow his way in for the 4-yard score to put the Sooners up 23-17. And the man of the night, Tate Sandell, drills this 55-yarder in the fourth to put the Sooners up 2 scores early in the fourth. And later, the X-Man takes this 48-yard run right up the gut down to the 1 after Tennessee's onside kick. And then one play later, John Mateer is going to run it in to seal the deal. And the Sooners will go on to win 33-27. Now in the SEC, sometimes you need to win unconventionally, and that's exactly what the Sooners did. Tennessee had more total yards, but OU won the turnover battle 3-2.
Cam, OU's defense made Joey Aguilar look average 2 weekends ago, forcing 3 turnovers against the Vols, which is tied for the most that Tennessee has allowed in a game all season, and that's what pushed the Sooners up Old Rocky Top.
Hallie, even though they came home with the win against the Volunteers, the Sooners had 11 penalties for 104 yards. Let that sink in. That's something they have to clean up if they want any chance to take down Alabama. Michael, what do you think from Tuscaloosa?
The MVP of that game was Tate Sandell. 4 for 4 on field goals and 3 of them from 50+. He looks like the kicker version of Steph Curry. He can keep those short as he would like if he's going to keep kicking like that, Cam.
Yeah, Michael, against Tennessee, R. Mason Thomas injured his hamstring on the 71-yard fumble return touchdown. And on the most recent injury report, he was listed as questionable for this afternoon matchup. But the Sooner D-line is embodying the next man up mentality for Danny Okoye.
He works his butt off himself, and yeah, he comes out and seeks us and coaching, and he comes and seeks the older guys to help him and kind of bring him along as far as game plan wise and whatnot. But yeah, Danny's so intelligent and talented that yeah, we're not worried. We know Danny's going to step up to the occasion, and yeah, he'll be ready.
OU offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle took ownership of his mistakes at Tennessee during his press conference on Monday, and he also let out his fashion secret that he has become known for, the red and blue pins clipped on his necklace.
The red pin, I cross off a play, don't run that play again, whether it's maybe a one-hitter, like, oh, well, hey, it hit, there's no way they'll fall for that again, or that was stupid, like, don't run that. And then the blue pin, circle it, okay, hey, maybe come back to this one. Or my blue pin, I write notes, hey, maybe this isn't in the game plan, but what they've been showing us, hey, let's get to this right here.
It seems like Oklahoma has finally found their missing piece, the run game. Over their last 2 games, Xavier Robinson has rushed for 224 yards and 3 touchdowns, and head coach Brent Venables knows that he is only going to keep getting better.
His best football still in front of him. He's becoming a complete back when it comes to, protection and understanding the entirety of the offense. He's a good weapon out in space. He's a load to handle out in space, when he catches the ball and gets vertical as well.
Yeah, this run game will be important, but it all comes down to the signal caller at quarterback and how he can handle a tough road environment. Michael, what do you have on Mateer?
OU's schedule has been an absolute gauntlet this season. The Crimson Tide will be the 5th currently ranked team that the Sooners play, and OU quarterback John Mateer knows that these tough tests will prepare his squad for where they want to be.
Just that we have a belief and a vision of what we want to do, and we're not just coming out here wasting any days and just going through the motions. We know what we're going up against, and it's fun. Like it's SEC football. It's the hardest, this and that, but it's still 11 on 11 each week. So we enjoy it and we embrace it. We don't hide from it.
Now, last year, these squads met in an epic upset in Norman, and this year, the Sooners look to be road warriors. Gameday U reporter Darby McCormick has more on the road travel. Darby?
That's right, Cam. After over 2 decades, OU is back in Tuscaloosa. And maybe the only way that Sooner fans can bring that Sooner magic is by reaching new heights. I've got the journeys to the long-awaited game day coming up.
Mom was always organized, but she started forgetting to pay her bills on time. And she'd buy the same gifts over and over.
Telling the girls about my Alzheimer's diagnosis was really hard.
At first, we had our cries, but then we were like, okay, let's make a plan. Early detection gave us time to adapt together.
It's so important for you to think about what you can do and making the most of what you have.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver. And we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
We said we'd never give in to a meltdown.
Mariella!
Never leave the house looking, well, and never let them out of our sight. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
Welcome back to Game Day U. As the Sooners faced Bama this afternoon, the journey to Tuscaloosa for Sooner fans was one to remember. Game Day U reporter Darby McCormick has more on the Crimson and Cream's travel plans to today's game. Darby?
Cam, despite the scares of the government shutdown, Sooner fans still traded in wagon wheels for wings to go see OU play Alabama at Alabama for the first time in 22 years. And even though it's a big matchup, they were still boarding with confidence. Bags are packed and the wheels are up as OU fans travel to Alabama.
Excited for the tradition of Alabama football, but also excited for a Sooner win.
The Alabama Stadium is one of my bucket lists. We are very excited to go down there and take part in some of that experience.
But Sooner fans are keeping one thing unchecked off their Bama bucket list.
I want to see the stadium and obviously the game, and we just got to beat Alabama.
A crimson on crimson matchup that could expect turbulence.
It's a blue blood, just like we are, and you don't run into that very often.
When you're a blue blood program like the University of Oklahoma, you've got to raise the bar to be able to compete.
But with the right carry-ons, the Sooners can pilot this game in the right direction.
Anything's possible. This football team has got stamina, they've got guts, and I think they can do whatever they set their minds to. Alabama's wanting to pay back, but, you know, OU needs this, and they want it.
Flight attendants, prepare the cap for landing.
So how do fans of the Crimson and Cream think this game will touch down?
Listen, we're always up for a Sooner win.
I think if we can play, I think it's a 2-touchdown win.
I understand it's going to be tough. Nothing's going to be easy about this game, but we surprised them last time in Norman, so let's go.
Boomer! Now, that's all I've got from Will Rogers International Airport. Back to you, Cam.
Thanks, Darby. A certain Sooner corner has been turning his heads with his play in the secondary over the last couple of weeks. Game Day U reporter Gracie Stubblefield has more on OU's leader in the back end.
Eli Bowen made a name for himself at last year's win against Alabama. He recorded his first career interception along with 4 tackles and 3 solo stops to wash away the Crimson Tide. He'll need that same confidence today in Tuscaloosa to recreate his success.
Yeah, they just, they're very efficient. They can stay out of the negative plays there. They've got a lot of excellent play design, concepts when they get down into the red zone, and they understand defense and how defense works. That's when I watch them, that's what I see. And so they try to put you in conflict and attack your rules and things of that nature. So they're really smart that way.
One of the best in the game right now. So seeing what he does every single play, you know you can depend on Eli. He's so smart, he's so intelligent, he's so technically sound. So everything he does is always on point.
We got to come ready to play. We got to give them our best shot. So we take every week serious. So we got to emphasize the technique, emphasize the eyes and whatnot, and coverage plays, and just be confident in how we play. We like playing away. We like being the villains, so it's fun.
While Bowen had to miss out on the first part of the season due to injury, he is slowly making his way to producing on the level he did in 2024. He might be what the Sooners need to prevent Alabama's revenge game. Back to you, Cam.
Thanks, Gracie. When we come back, we'll have more on this top 15 matchup with Bama. Stick around for more Game Day U. Welcome back to Game Day U. After a disappointing loss to Florida State in the opener, the Tide have rolled off 8 straight wins. I was at SEC Media Days and took a deeper dive into how this Bama squad looks to return the favor on the Sooners after their loss last year. Legendary Alabama coach Bear Bryant was known for dominating the competition and changing college football. Half a century later, that winning standard is still expected for the Tide. But last season, Bama came into Norman and got completely embarrassed by the Sooners, not scoring a touchdown for the first time since 2011. But this year's team is just worrying about stacking wins and taking it game by game.
I think that's later on down the road a little bit. We got a long way to go before we get to that game, but that'll just be something we'll have to be ready for when the week comes. You know, we just got to make sure we're prepared the best way when that week comes, and we'll be excited when the game gets here.
And Bama's second-year head coach Kalen DeBoer is pleased so far with his team's commitment to the day-in and day-out work that it takes to win in the SEC.
I can't tell you how impressed I've been with them just focusing on the main thing, and that's the work. Not getting ahead of themselves, not even worried really about practice number one, game number one for sure, or even further down the road in the season. But when it comes down to what we're focused on, it's the day-to-day work that these guys are really honed in on.
Senior defensive tackle Tim Keenan III isn't worried about the Sooners just yet, as the reoccurring motto of taking things game by game still stands.
Oh, you know, it's one game at a time. First up is FSU and everything like that. And when that time comes, we definitely going to execute the plan. We respect all our opponents, and we got to go out there and play.
The November matchup in Tuscaloosa will be only the 8th time these two Blue Bloods meet, with the Sooners leading the series 4-2 with a tie. Reporting from the College Football Hall of Fame, Cam Williams, Game Day U. Now, the Tide are a well-rounded team coming into this game, but they are surprising a lot of people on defense this season as they are holding opponents to 17 points a game, good for 13th in the nation.
Alabama is a top team looking for revenge against OU, and they love a home game. Alabama has won 17 straight home games, but good news for Sooner fans, OU is 3-0 in true road games this season. Will OU break the hot streak in Bryant-Denny Stadium?
In their last 2 games, OU's defense has allowed nearly as many passing yards as they did in the first 7 games of the season. Alabama has the 13th best passing offense in the nation, which is something that the Sooners secondary will need to keep in check.
Alabama is 118th in rushing offense. Now, Sooner fans probably still have question marks about their own team's rushing attack, but should take comfort knowing that the Crimson Tide are considerably worse. Now, Cam, I would be way more afraid of the Greek life rush on this campus than the football team's rushing attack.
Yeah, Michael, now let's take a look at the SEC slate of games for Week 12 of the 2025 season, as the third-ranked Aggies are at Kyle Field this weekend, hosting an underachieving Gamecock squad in Lenore Sellers.
Alabama isn't the only team looking for revenge today. Ole Miss hosts Florida, who killed the Rebels' playoff chances last season. Florida has had a sloppy season, going 3-6, but nothing's impossible. Can the Gators upset the Rebels and maybe even steal their head coach?
Like Oklahoma, Texas is also coming off a bye week and going on the road against the top 5 opponent. They face Georgia, who are coming off a convincing win against Mississippi State, a team that took Texas to overtime. I think the Bulldogs in the Longhorns' playoff hopes in a convincing win.
Missouri fell out of the top 25 after getting thrashed by Texas A&M last week. Now, they'll host Mississippi State today, who have their own issues winning SEC games, sitting at 1-5 in conference play. So I see a tune-up game coming for Missouri before they head down to Norman next week.
Yeah, Michael, I'm taking a look at that Texas versus Georgia showdown. That's one I won't want to miss. When Game Day U returns, we're back talking about the Sooners and things to watch for against Alabama.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Everyone deserves to live a full life. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
All right, look at you taking the stairs. Who are you?
We're your lungs. We are proud of you for quitting smoking, but you still may be at risk for lung cancer.
A routine cancer scan can detect it early when it's more curable. Good to know. Well, I gotta go somewhere.
So do we.
So do we.
Listen to your lungs. Get a routine screening that could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back to Game Day U. Now it's time for us to break down some of the Sooner keys to a victory on the road versus the Tide. First off, to be able to keep pace and sustain going stride for stride with this Bama offense, OU's offense, and specifically the receiving corps, needs to stand out this afternoon. Isaiah Satania leads the Sooners with 692 yards and 5 touchdowns on the year. He's also 5th in the entire SEC in yardage category. And on the opposite side of the ball, Deion Burks needs to attack a Bama secondary who is prone to giving up the big play from time to time.
Like we have been saying all morning, OU's defense is going to have to get off the bus ready for this Alabama offense. And that starts with locking down the Tide's Heisman hopeful Ty Simpson. He has completed almost 70% of his passes, 21 touchdowns, and only thrown 1 interception all season. Simpson is an efficient quarterback surrounded by elite wide receivers. If OU's defense wants to be named the best defense in college football, it's their time to do so.
Hallie, Bama's offense might be good, however, OU struggled in the first half against Tennessee, but they seem to find their rhythm in the second half. John Mintier needs to get this offense going early if the Sooners want any chance against the Crimson Tide. OU's defense is good, but they can't afford to have 99 yards of offense in a half. If Oklahoma wants to pull off the upset in Tuscaloosa, they need to see pre-thumb injury Mintier.
Well, like I mentioned, Alabama struggles to run the ball, but they are elite in the passing game. Ty Simpson has thrown 1 interception this season, and against LSU, the Crimson Tide averaged 2.2 yards per carry, but 8 yards per catch. Now, the Sooners have not won an SEC game without a defensive touchdown, and they will have chances to pick off Ty Simpson, but it's really this simple. Find a way to score on defense, and the Sooners should win this game. But that's it for me in T-Town. I'm going to leave it over with Landon.
Yeah, coming up after the break, 2 analysts and I will give our takes on the biggest games in the college football space. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.
Food isn't just fuel to live, it's fuel to grow. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger, and together we can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Visit feedingamerica.org/actnow.
There are a lot of temptations facing young people today, like electronic cigarettes and skateboarding. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes. This can lead today's youth to a lifelong addiction and severe lung damage. Recall and consider the facts before making a poor decision.
The health class film guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Start the conversation with your child about vaping today.
Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted.
Did you know that trash, like plastic bottles and fast food wrappers, can carry germs and bacteria? When these items are tossed in the street, they eventually find their way to a river or lake and have a negative impact on aquatic life. Keep our waters clean by putting your trash in the bin. For more information, visit bit.ly/Norman Stormwater. Did you know that items like paint, cleaning solutions, pesticides, solvents, and other chemicals are considered household hazardous waste? These chemicals are dangerous to our environment and water quality when they are dumped in our storm drains or gutters. Fortunately, the City of Norman has a dedicated household hazardous waste facility where you can properly dispose of these items. Call 405-366-5463 to make an appointment. For more information, visit bit.ly/Norman Stormwater.
Mom was always organized, but she started forgetting to pay her bills on time.
And she'd buy the same gifts over and over. Telling the girls about my Alzheimer's diagnosis was really hard.
At first we had our cries, but then we were like, okay, let's make a plan.
Early detection gave us time to adapt together. It's so important for you to think about what you can do and making the most of what you have.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Welcome back to Game Day U, where some new faces are here in the studio ready to give some bold predictions for Week 12 of the college football season. With me are Jamin Dawson, Liz Lackey, and Landon Thomas. Up first, the nighttime, primetime, top 10 matchup between the Horns and the Dogs in Athens. Jamin, who comes out with the win?
Both teams are fighting for a playoff spot, and Georgia beat Texas twice last season. With the Bulldogs having home field advantage, there's no way the Horns make it out of the hedges.
This is a conference matchup that Texas has yet to win, but Golden Boy Arch Manning is starting to earn his title with 18 touchdowns this season, and I think he'll tack on a couple more and finally bring Georgia's reign of terror to an end.
Yeah, the last time these two teams faced off each other was in Texas, and the Longhorns absolutely got thrashed by the Bulldogs. So go ahead and give me the Bulldogs to take this one as well as they did last year.
I like that pick a lot, Landon. Up next, Marcus Freeman leads his Fighting Irish into Pittsburgh's backyard in a top 25 interesting early slate game. Jamin, who you got in this one?
Pitt's offense is the best the Irish has seen all season, 6th in the nation in scoring. And they're on a 5-game win streak. I think Pitt extends it to 6 today.
Notre Dame is ranked number 9 with an average of 466 offensive yards per game going up against Pittsburgh, whose defense gives up an average of 326 yards per game. This looks like an easy win for the Irish.
Pitt's head coach Pat Narduzzi said earlier this week that he didn't care if this team won as long as they won their next 2 ACC matchups that are conference games. So how in the world could I take them to win when they could care less? Give me the Fighting Irish.
Landon said, do not bet against the Irish. Now let's head back to the SEC, where DJ Lagway and Trinidad Chambliss battle it out in Oxford in a good matchup. Jamin, who wins this duel?
If Ole Miss beats Florida, it would cement their first 8-win home season in school history. We all know here in Norman how lethal Lane Kiffin's offense is. I'm taking the Rebels.
Ole Miss is 0-3 against Florida in the past 10 years, and I don't think that streak is going to end. Florida quarterback DJ Lagway is due for a comeback game, and I think this matchup will be the underdog win of the weekend.
Liz, I'm sorry, but you're just straight up wrong. Ole Miss is currently the number 2 SEC offense, and Florida just benched their starting quarterback, DJ Lagway, in the game last week. So how in the world could I take not the Rebels?
Lastly, it's the game of the day for the Crimson and Cream faithful. Playoff hopes are still alive. 11th ranked OU at 4th ranked Bama in Tuscaloosa. It's going to be a good one. Jamin, do the Sooners come back with a win? Do they come home with a loss?
Look, Alabama hasn't seen the defense as stacked as the Sooners. If the Oklahoma offense plays up to their potential, I think they top the tide and keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, Oklahoma is 5th in the nation in sacks, and they're known for their quarterback pressure. If they can slow down Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson, the Sooners have a chance to snag this win and boost their playoff chances. Give me Oklahoma.
I think y'all are both wrong. The Sooners, while they did look good in their last game against Tennessee in the second half, the Crimson Tide have an absolute dog at the quarterback position in Ty Simpson, who's a leading Heisman candidate, has tied for the most passing touchdowns in the SEC and has only thrown 1 interception on the whole year. Give me the Tide to roll past the Sooners. And hey, that's going to wrap up our coverage here in Tuscaloosa. So I'm going to go ahead and send it back to you guys into the studio.
Now, Landon, the Sooners are 4-2-1 all-time versus the Tide, and the keys to this game are going to be protecting the football and creating rushing lanes for Xavier Robinson. Now, it sounds like a lot of good games to look out for this weekend. Thanks a lot for watching Game Day U, where it just means more. For Jamin Dawson, Liz Lackey, and Landon Thomas, I'm Cam Williams. We'll be back next week when OU hosts Mizzou at home. Have a great Sooner Game Day.